Right now on Denver 7 News at 7 o'clock on Local 3, a Westminster neighborhood is all clear this morning after a crime spree forced people to stay inside their homes. We have new video and new details from police about what happened. And some new life for a Louisville neighborhood destroyed by the Marshall Fire.
I think it's just such a great step forward for them.
A big step today to rebuild the community after more than 5 months. And the Avs go for the sweep on the Oilers tonight, but both teams are without key players for Game 4. We have the latest on Nazem Kadri's injury and what the team says they'll have to do without him now. Also, news about the player who pushed him into the boards. Meteorologist Lisa Hidalgo joins us now with our first look at our forecast. We've got sun to start, but maybe some changes on the way.
Yeah, a few afternoon storms. It's going to be a pretty typical June afternoon. Right now we're in the 50s. We'll see some 60s here pretty soon. Winds coming in at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. It can get a little bit gustier if a few of those cells roll through your neighborhood, but we'll be at about 78 degrees by lunchtime. Some good patio weather. Building clouds between noon and about 2 o'clock, and then a few scattered thunderstorms. It does look like we're going to see a better chance for some rain, lightning and thunder here in town today. The risk of severe weather is going to be pretty far east, but we're going to hit highs right around 80 by early afternoon, 60s to low 70s for the foothills. We'll take a closer look at the storms, but you can see here a marginal risk of severe weather in green, a slight risk there in yellow. So we're going to see some of the strongest storms over the southeastern corner of the state and in through Kansas and Nebraska. Katie?
Hey Lisa, this morning we've seen some pretty typical traffic and weather here across the metro area. You see, I usually talk about the weather this time of morning, but in terms of our roadways here across town, things are dry, and we did see a couple crashes that are now cleared. I-25 cruising along just fine after south of 84th Avenue. And let me take you to the map. We did have one of the shoulders blocked near 84th, just approaching it, and has caused some delays on that northbound drive of I-25. And right now it's about 10 minutes slower. I-76 continues to be some stop and go traffic approaching I-25. 270 pretty standard for this time in the morning, around a 10-minute drive both east and westbound, and northbound I-25 just heading into downtown. You will see some of that slowing, but no accidents to report. We did have a previous crash that has been cleared, and out to the mountains right now, really easy driving conditions on I-70 east and westbound Golden Silverthorne.
Well, new this morning, we have video and new details from police about a crime spree that had a Westminster neighborhood sheltering in place overnight. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta joins us with this wild chain of events that thankfully ended with no one hurt.
It did. It started off as an armed robbery, thankfully ending with some arrests there. And Westminster police, though, they were first forced to go on that chase that ended up spanning several blocks. So this actually started yesterday evening, right around 7:30. That's when Westminster police say they were called about a possible armed robbery. The victim told police they were following the suspect's vehicle when they started being shot at. Police were able to find that vehicle and pursue it. That was near 90th Avenue and Utica Street. They say at that point the suspects ran, and then 2.5 hours later, we're talking right around 10 p.m. Police say they found 3 men hiding in the backyard of a home. That was near 70th Avenue and Vrain Street. Police say those 3 men were arrested, and the good news at the end of the night was that no one was injured. We're in Denver this morning. I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Thank you, Veronica. Inglewood police say the suspect in a deadly hit and run from Saturday has turned himself in. They say 20-year-old Edwin Solano ran away from the scene of the crash that closed South Broadway for hours Saturday. 1 man died and 2 women were seriously hurt. Well, after a rash of mass shootings across the country over the weekend, the Gun Violence Archive now says the U.S. is on track for one of the deadliest years on record. Congress is back in session now, feeling pressure to find a solution. ABC's M. Nguyen has the latest from Washington.
A nation on edge as the U.S. continues to grapple with mass shootings. At least a dozen broke out over the weekend, according to the Gun Violence Archive.
We got multiple victims.
In Philadelphia, police say multiple gunmen opened fire into a crowd, leaving at least 2 bystanders dead and nearly a dozen others hurt. New surveillance video shows the panic and chaos that ensued after gunfire rang out. Police say the incident started with a fist fight between 2 men before they each pulled out a gun and started shooting. One of them died. In Phoenix Saturday, 8 people were shot and a 14-year-old girl killed after authorities say an altercation in a strip mall escalated. And overnight in Chattanooga.
Multiple shots fired. Multiple vehicles fleeing the scene.
14 people were shot and 3 more were killed after authorities say several shooters opened fire in a nightclub. It's the second mass shooting there in the last week.
I'm tired of standing in front of you talking about guns and bodies. Chattanooga will not tolerate this in our community. Our city will put a stop to this.
The spate of shootings pushing gun reform to the forefront of lawmakers' minds as senators work to hammer out a potential bipartisan compromise, leading the legislative proposals, incentives for red flag laws, expanded background checks, and funding for mental health and school security. This week, a young Uvalde mass shooting survivor will testify in a congressional hearing on gun violence. The fourth grader says she covered herself in blood and played dead to survive the shooting that ultimately killed 19 children, 2 teachers, and the gunman. Emwin, ABC News, Washington.
Meanwhile, back here in Colorado, some city councils will take action on guns this week. Boulder, Louisville, Superior, and Lafayette are all expected to pass new ordinances, including banning the sale and possession of assault weapons, banning magazines that contain more than 10 rounds, raising the age for firearm purchases from 18 to 21, outlawing open and concealed carry in places like hospitals, schools, and places of worship, and instituting a 10-day wait period to purchase a gun. Also outlawing ghost guns. Boulder County hopes new building codes taking effect today will prevent more devastating losses like we saw during the Marshall Fire. Starting today, new builds in the eastern part of Boulder County will have to be made with ember-resistant construction materials on the roof. New codes also require non-combustible air vents, gutters and downspouts, and new materials for decking and fencing.
We're also focused on trying to create a zone of 3-foot non-combustible zone around the house, going to really focus on outreach and education in the plains and start to really help homeowners understand these risks and what they can do to reduce them.
You can find wildfire prevention ideas on the website wildfirepartners.org. Castle Pines is the latest city in the metro to adopt wildfire mitigation plans. South Metro will begin working with homeowners to find ways to reduce the wildfire risk on their properties. There is some good news today, though. More than 5 months after the Marshall Fire, Louisville begins its comeback. Denver 7 live as construction starts today on the first home rebuilt on the property there.
Yeah, good morning. This morning, a construction company will break ground on the first home rebuild here in Louisville since the Marshall Fire. It'll happen in this lot right here behind me. This is the second family in this city to get a rebuilding permit. All of the debris has been cleared out, and today the excavation process will start before the contractor begins working on the home's foundation. And this lot is the first of 20 rebuilds for this contractor, Wood Brothers Homes. Most are in the neighborhoods near Harper Lake, which are some of the worst hit by the Marshall Fire. Contractor Justin Wood says that he believes that seeing this home's progress will bring a lot of hope to others in this community.
At the beginning, it was devastating for people, and we've heard a lot of stories. So for this one, and to see the smile on this homeowner's face when we handed her the permit and said we're going to start on Monday, was just, it was a great thing to see.
And the groundbreaking will take place at 11 o'clock this morning. The mayor and city council are expected to be here, and the rebuilding process for this home will take about 8 months. Live in Louisville this morning, I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
Can't wait to see it when it's done. Thank you, Christian. Well, the Avs could book their ticket to the Stanley Cup Finals tonight. It is Game 4 against the Oilers in Edmonton. The Avs are unbeaten on the road in the playoffs so far, but both teams will be without one of their best players. The Oilers' Evander Kane was suspended 1 game for this hard hit on the boards against Nazem Kadri of the Avs. Kane was the leading goal scorer in all of the playoffs with 13. Kadri is reportedly now recovering from a broken thumb. Head coach Jared Bednar said Kadri is certainly out the rest of the series. The Avs are up 3-0 in the series, and they want to end on a high note.
It's going to be tough. You know, coming from last series against St. Louis, we're up 3-1 and gave them life, but it's hard to win that 4th game. It's very difficult. Brand new game, regardless of, you know, if it's 3-0, 2-1, whatever it is, we gotta come out strong and play a great game.
Hey, even when the Avs are on the road, they have plenty of support from the hometown crowd at Ball Arena. This was the watch party from Game 3. It was a packed house. There's another watch party for the team tonight for Game 4. Tickets are $10 through Ticketmaster. All the proceeds go to the Kroenke Sports charities, and parking around the arena is free. Doors open at 5 p.m. The game starts shortly after at 6. Take a look at this map. Each dot represents a mass shooting in the U.S. just this year. This morning, Congress is back in session with calls to do something about gun violence. We'll have a look at the areas where they might be willing to compromise. School has only been out a week or two. You might already be ready to get the kids out of the house. For summer, we have some free things to do for all ages, like the Denver Art Museum on this Money Saving Monday.